Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the After the Frame podcast. My name is Malik, and I am joined, as always, by...
Hi, I'm Matt.
And today we are going to be reviewing Keeper. This movie, I didn't really see too many trailers for. I think I saw one teaser maybe on like Instagram. I recognized Tatiana Maslany from She-Hulk, and I said, well, let's give it a go. What was your experience beforehand? Did you have any preconceived notions for the film, or heard anything about it, or did you just kind of go in blind?
For the most part, I went in blind. I think I had seen the trailer, and that was about it. I saw that Osgood Perkins was directing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, I will watch it.
He's the
That was
one
about
that
it.
did what was the one last year? I think it was
Long Legs?
yes, Long Legs, that's right. He's also done some other stuff I think for Neon as well. He's done like a few films for them.
Yeah, he did The Monkey, your favorite.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that in our best and worst of the year. This explains it. Damn, he's spoiler alert, he's kind of low on my list too for two of his movies this year. So, yeah, well, we can get right into it. I mean, it doesn't seem like much of us have any preamble to this movie, so you want to get started on the good then, and I really don't have much. I literally only have one thing that I would say was a highlight for me in the movie. I would say that to me it was just Tatiana Maslany. I think that she was like one of those, you ever see these movies or shows where you're like, why is this person acting so well compared to everybody else? Like, it just feels like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it feels out of place. I
Yeah.
thought like not that she's like gonna be getting an Oscar or anything, but just in the context of the film, I thought that she really did an excellent job. And easily for me just carried the movie. Everything else that happened in the movie, I could have easily just like walked out the movie. Like, it's just like a nothing movie to me. So just her acting, I thought was really good. Her counterpart, whose name I didn't even bother to learn, the husband or whatever, the boyfriend, and anybody else that was in the movie, I just doesn't do it for me. So we'll get into that in the negatives, but that was literally my only good thing. It was just her acting, and that's it. So what do you got?
So I have 3 bullets of what worked. So first being the atmosphere and visual style. I personally was a fan, and the film, in my opinion, nailed the mood. Osgood Perkins, the director, he continues to prove he's one of the best at crafting these unsettling, eerie environments, and the visuals are moody but patient and cinematic, and everything to me just felt soaked in like this quiet dread feeling. But even when the story struggles, and it struggles a lot,
Mm-hmm.
the aesthetic kind of kept me engaged at least. Second bullet here, the tone and the overall just horror vibe of it. From the first frame, you get this lingering unease feeling of what's going on. The slow burn tension, the silence, the way that the camera moves, all kind of reinforce that creeping, almost kind of dreamlike horror feeling that I've come to find that I think Osgood Perkins is known for. But if you're a fan of atmospheric horror, I think you'll still find things to appreciate here despite the quality of the film. And then lastly, just the overall strong directorial fingerprint. Even though, spoiler alert, this isn't his best film, you can always tell when you're watching the film made by Perkins, because
It's bad.
you look at
Except for Long Legs.
you look at the framing, the pacing, the melancholy, and that sort of consistency in style kind of gives Keeper a unique identity in maintaining with his structure, even if the narrative faltered. I'm curious what your final score is going to be, because
It's down there. I've seen some pretty bad movies that are just literally like, it's a studio film at the end of the day, so it's like competent enough, like, you know what I mean? Like, the story isn't, but like, it's made competently. I'm not going to give it like a 1, but like, you'll see. It's not,
okay.
it's down there in the movies I've seen this year for sure. Just out of, I guess, sheer, I can't even say disappointment. It was just, I walked out of the theater like, what was the point of that?
How many negatives do you have? What
All of
didn't work
them.
for you? Oh, Lord, we're gonna be here all
90%,
night.
90%. I'll make everything concise. For me, it was just basically everything to do with the consistency of the movie. To spoil it a little bit, and I'm sure you'll touch on it in your negatives, it's basically that this guy takes Tatiana Maslany, and they've been dating for, I think they say a year, takes her to his cabin, that him and his cousin like have cabins next door to each other, and so he's a doctor and whatnot. And I don't know, throughout the course of the movie for me, certain little things just didn't add up. Like the whole cake thing, where they're in the middle of like making out and getting at it, and then he's like, "Oh shit, the cake." And it was just such like an alarming like thing for a person to do, that you would be like, "No, I don't want any cake right now." But Tatiana Maslany still sits there and eats the cake, so that was an odd thing that I felt was unnatural. Come to find out that this cake is meant to like basically knock her out, but then she's getting flashbacks of like all these girls that have been like attacked or are dead. We see the opening scene is just all of these different girls like montaging in and whatever. I don't know if you immediately knew the whole reveal. I figured that out like 20 minutes into the movie, that Tatiana Maslany was like either a descendant or was somehow the lady that he kept on seeing in the vision by the river or whatever. But I felt like the movie was just so all over the place with the fact that it was dealing with this weird cake that we never get explained like who's making the cake. He says it's like the housekeeper, but there's really no housekeeper, we find out. So this cake just keeps on appearing, that him and his cousin are feeding to these women. And then we find out this backstory where like Tatiana Maslany like went onto their land, and then like they started feeding her like, to, or no, they started feeding like their future women to her children who she gave birth to. It was just weird for the sake of being weird for me, and I didn't feel like the tension or the scary like the jump scares or anything like that. That's just me. I could go on and on and on. I just felt the movie was just, I just kept on asking myself like, why is this person doing that? Why did whoever wrote it decide to write this? Like, I just walked out the movie and I was like, whatever, man, like, sure. So I'll let you go on your spiel, but that's basically my issues.
My points are they fall in the same lanes as yours. First one being that the story just never takes off. The biggest issue to me was that the plot collapsed before it even gained any momentum. There's no clear drive, there's no escalation, there's no real hook to pull you into the characters or the mystery outside of this little cake. But it feels like the movie is waiting for something to happen, and it never really does. Talking about the narrative, the really thin narrative, and just these underdeveloped ideas, there's themes and subplots that are introduced, but they're never explored. They just drop it and okay, that's it. Let's walk away. The film kind of hints at this deeper meaning, but it never committed to developing it. And instead of slow burn tension leading to a payoff, it leads to nothing substantial. And there's a really strong lack of emotional investment. And I mean, without a strong story, it's hard to care about the characters or their fate. And the movie leans heavily on vibe and not enough on character motivation or any emotional stakes for the film. And although one of my pros about this film was the atmosphere, I guess my final con is that atmosphere without a payoff. It's a really beautifully crafted horror environment in my opinion, but it means little if the narrative can't sustain it. And you've got these scenes that should feel intense or revealing. They just end up feeling static and empty. And the ending especially, it just leaves you with a sense of like, that's it? And then roll
Ridiculous.
credits, and it's just okay.
Yeah, I won't even spoil it here. If you even dare watch the movie, you'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much more for me to say. I really didn't enjoy this one. It's not the worst movie I've seen, not the worst horror movie I've seen, not even this year. Osgood Perkins with the monkey. But this movie to me, I feel like from the marketing beforehand, it seemed so much more interesting than I guess it led on, which is, that's the point of the trailer, to get butts in seats, and then, whatever happens in the movie happens. But yeah, I felt like this movie just was going one way, and then it just went off into this mythical slash paranormal, tangent that, as you said, like it just wasn't being set up before. The setting is like this perfect thing. They're like far away from like, the furthest house other than the neighbor's house. They're just in the woods. She's in some place that she's not familiar with. The only scene that I was like very tense in was when the cousin came over and her boyfriend wasn't there. That was the only time where I was like, like something might happen. And then he just gets his head chopped off by something, like these weird. You've seen the? I know we talked about it a little bit, a few days ago, maybe the new Welcome to Derry. Have you started watching it yet? So my thing in that movie, that show is that It's very good until Pennywise comes out and then the CGI characters just turn it into like Jack Skellington or something where I'm like, it just kind of takes away from the tension. Now I just feel like I'm watching like a circus act. It's not scary. These things that they claim are like her children at the end of the movie, just the same type of effects to me. I was like, they're creepy or whatever. Like they're very not even uncanny valley. They just are very weird to look at. Like one person had multiple faces, all these things wrong with them. But I'm like, I don't know. It was like this movie in the first half that seemed so you can't trust like maybe the boyfriend. You maybe can't trust the cousin. The cousin brings over this girl that maybe she's like a red herring. Maybe she's not. Maybe she has something to do with it. And then all of a sudden, poof, we're in a basement, and then like Tatiana Maslany is getting attacked by these CGI things, and then he turns into an old 200-year-old man. It's just, as I said, I could go on and on. It just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess final takeaway for me is that this film is really just all mood, but no momentum. It's visually striking and tonally rich, but the story just unravels before anything meaningful can even take shape. It's a great atmosphere just wasted on a narrative that never finds its footing. So I scored this a 4.6 out of 10.
Let me see. I think I might be in the same boat with you. Ooh, a little bit lower. I gave it a 44%. So we're kind of in the same boat here.
But so you mentioned the monkey.
Yeah, I have the monkey at a 41%.
Interesting. So there's a wide gap for me between this and the monkey, but I actually preferred the monkey to this.
That's fair. I think that this to me was just like a better made movie. I felt like the monkey was just too over the top and the acting wasn't that inspired or anything like that. As I said, I felt like Tatiana Maslany honestly like carried the movie on her own, but it was to the point where like I watched the monkey and I watched it with my girlfriend. She like fell asleep in the monkey. Like she just was like, it's just not an engaging film. And I was just like, if I had the choice, I'd say that this one was at least, as you said, the atmosphere, at least there was an attempt. Whereas in the monkey, I just feel like it was just foolishness from the jump. But yeah, we're not doing a monkey review, so I don't want to get into that now.
I was just curious how big of a gap there was between the two.
It's pretty. I mean, I doubt within the movies that I have on my watch list for the rest of the year, I don't think anything will be down. I think that my bottom 5 or bottom 10 are kind of nailed on. I'm almost to 50 movies so far. So yeah, I think for the most part this year, everything has been either mid to good, and very few for the movies I've seen, very few like excellent films. Like it's very, very kind of good, which is I think an improvement from last year. I think a lot of the movies I saw last year were kind of below average to average. So.
Yeah, I have seen a lot more than 50 this year, so my worst will probably be way, way
Yeah.
worse.
Probably haven't even seen them. When we do our end of year review, you'll have to just tell me the stuff about them because I'm sure
Probably.
probably haven't even seen some of them. But yeah, if you don't have anything else on Keeper, you can give your recommendation to me. I'd say skip it. I don't think it's worth the watch, honestly. We're in an era now where everything is just coming out on streaming anyway. When they see that it's not making money in theaters, I'm sure it'll probably be in streaming next month, if not in the next week. But yeah, that's my thing. I would definitely. It's not. If you're a horror fan, to me, it's not scary. If you're into any other genre, I wouldn't even know what other genre to put it in. So yeah, that's to me, big skip.
Yeah, I agree. You can skip.
But yeah, so that does it for our review for Keeper. Yeah, and if you don't have anything else, then we can sign off.
Yeah, I'm all good.
All right, man. Well, then we'll catch you all in the next one.
Take care, everybody.